Great. All right. Welcome, everybody, to another session of our internship development series. We are so happy to have you all here today for another session, but definitely excited for today's session in particular around the power of networking. So obviously, we at Growth Sector and through the STEM Core are very much focused on your career readiness and getting you all into internships, research, future employment. And obviously, you've seen that through the series that we have implemented over the last few semesters. But we're more so excited today to have our guest, Gabriel Lomelli. Gabriel is coming with a wealth of information and actually has ties to LinkedIn. But more importantly, why we wanted to bring Gabriel to connect with all of you as well is his story, his passion for working with students, and just the capital that he has in terms of being able to really use the skills that you have as students at the community college, whether you're first generation underrepresented students, and being able to really use that to work for yourselves in terms of networking and reaching out to experiences that are essentially your goals, right? So I am going to turn things over to our presenter for today, Gabe, who is going to be leading today's session. We will leave some time at the end of today's session for questions, so you'll be able to unmute yourself and ask questions directly. But if questions come up for you during today's session, feel free to put it in the chat, and we'll be sure to address your question before we end today's call. All right, so I will turn things over to Gabe.
Thanks so much, Cheryl. That was a fantastic introduction. I might need you to do that a few more times next week at my job. That was incredible. Good morning, everyone. I'm tuning in from Stockton, California, from my home. That's actually my hometown. And yeah, I'm thrilled to be here with you all to share some of the cool things that I've learned along in my career journey and to give you some cool approaches, tools, and tips that by the end of today, you'll be able to apply and hopefully see some results. And these were two game changers for me that helped me in my academic and career journey. And I'm just going to share them with you and let's talk about it. And I guarantee it's probably going to be the fastest 50 to 60 minutes in your life because we're going to have some fun with this one. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so you can see this presentation that I put together for you right here. All right, and then we should be up. And if you could just give me a thumbs up so I could see that, to let me know that you can see my presentation. Are we all set there? Okay. You just see the thumbs up one more time. Oh yeah, I see all sorts of thumbs up. Oh my goodness, I'm getting bombarded. Perfect. All right. This is great. Okay. So, all right. So the two things I'm going to share with you is information interviewing and networking. My goodness, I'm trying to get my notes up. I'm all over the place here. One sec. Thank you. All right, here we go. Oh my goodness. Now we're all set. All right. So information, interviews, and networking. So a little bit more about myself. I already told you I'm from Stockton, California, but I'm a Mexican American and I'm a first generation college student. And navigating my academic and professional, I see some thumbs up there. Thank you. Navigating my own academic and career journey, it felt a lot like this. Like if I was blindfolded, trying to do the right things, trying to make the right decisions, trying to apply to the right programs and the right schools and all that. And I did my best. But looking back, there was certain things I could have done that could have helped me out in a major way. So I really want to applaud you for being in this program right now. You're already light years ahead of where I was, and I'm in awe of you, really. And by equipping you with some of the things I'm going to share with you today, I know you're going to be ready for blast off. So right out of high school, I went to community college, Delta Community College here in Stockton. And then from there, I went to San Jose State University. And then from there, I graduated, worked at the Boys and Girls Club in Redwood City, where I learned about media and technology. I started working on music videos for my favorite rappers and R&B singers, went to BET and all that good stuff. And then I started going into media and technology. And then From there, I was offered a job to lecture at the School of Design at Stanford University. And it was there that I also got my master's degree in learning design technology, and then eventually started my own company in media production. And then from there, landed me where I'm at today. I work at LinkedIn in Mountain View, and I work in the media production department as a strategy and account manager. And I got to tell you, it's the funnest job I've ever had. And it's probably the easiest job I've ever had too, but that's a secret between you and I. So the reason I tell you real quick of how why of my entire journey is because, as you can see, I kind of went different places. At San Jose State University, I studied psychology, social science and psychology, but then I ended up in media production. And every step of the way, I had to figure out what was my curiosity, how do I get to the next place I want to get to, and how do I navigate this adventure that we all call my career. And I had to learn how to create my own opportunities out of thin air. And especially with the being a first generation college student, your network is sometimes limited. So you don't really know, you can't ask your fam or your parents. So you have to create your own opportunities on your own. So I did that. So the two tools I'm going to share with you today has to do that. Now, before we jump in to the actual tools, I want to share with you some of the things that I was worried about, or some of the things that was challenging for me while I was trying to navigate my entire career. And if any of these resonate with you, I'm going to ask that you please toss like a little thumbs up in the chat, or give me a whoop whoop or anything like that if you think that if you thought any of these questions or any of these challenges that sound familiar to you. So first up, a question I struggled with was, how am I supposed to choose the right career? There's about 1 million of them out there, and I'm supposed to make this decision on my own. How does that work? Or how about this one? Where and how do I find opportunities? Everybody's always telling me that there's so many opportunities out there, but I can't even find one of them. So where are these opportunities out there? All my friends, professors, and families tell me it's all over the place. Here's another one. What if I don't know what I'm interested in, right? Hey, I'm interested in math, I'm interested in science, but I'm also interested in the pottery class that I'm taking, or the motion graphics design class that I'm taking, but how do I know which is the right one? So I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up here. Or here's a big one that I always used to hear from the students, especially at the university. What if I pick the wrong major or the wrong career? I'm gonna mess up my entire life. My goodness, it's like getting a tattoo for life or branded. Once I pick that major, it's the end of the day. I got to stay in that lane for my entire life. Here's another favorite one that I always hear. All you have to do is just follow your passion. If you follow your passion, you'll be fine. Well, a couple problems with that. Number one, what if I don't know what I'm passionate about? That's a big problem. Or here's another one. What if I have more than one passion, right? For instance, I'm passionate about hanging out in my living room back here and watching Netflix, or I'm passionate about hanging out with my friends and barbecuing, and none of those things make me money. Or I'm passionate about a sports team. Like my team is the Las Vegas Raiders, and they've been letting me down since I've been a little boy. What am I supposed to do with that? So yeah, I see some laughs out there. Okay, so I think some of these are resonating, right? Well, here's another big one. What is networking and how do I do it? So this is one that I've always heard over and over. Oh, all you got to do is get out of network. All you got to do is get out of network. Okay, well, what is networking and how do I do it? And how do I even know that I'm doing it right? And what is the point of networking? So if any of you have felt any of these questions or any of these went through your mind, there's a couple things I want to share with you. Number one, I want to say you are totally validated in feeling this. It's totally okay to feel all this. Matter of fact, I know for sure that there's professionals right now that I work with, high performing professionals that deal with these same questions. Because the secret is none of us have it figured out. We might have it figured out for a little bit, but then things happen, right? Family issues, pandemics, wars, layoffs, things in our personal lives. And then we have to go back and say, all right, where are the opportunities at? How do I network? Or, hey, I've been in this career for 5 or 10 years, but I think I want to pivot to something else. How do I lean into that? So it's okay to feel these things, but I'm going to give you two tools that helps you navigate through these. So let's hop into the first one, which is information interviewing. So all an information interview is having a conversation with another professional that you're interested in, as far as what they do in their roles or their companies. And you're just trying to find out a little bit more about their background, their stories, and what they like or don't like about their jobs, because you're going out there as an explorer to see what else is out there. So it's a great way to explore some of the interests that you have. For instance, you say, hey, I don't know, I'm studying social science, but I'm really interested in media production. I don't know, there's something about that I want to learn more about. It's a great way and a great time for you to do an information interview, find out more about that. But you can also explore other careers, roles, and hidden opportunities. Now, I want to double click on this hidden opportunities part here. So what if I told you that around, this is a rough estimate, 80% of opportunities are unlisted at companies. So that means that what you see listed on a company's website or on Indeed or on LinkedIn, that's just a portion of what's already out there, maybe like 20 or 25% that they're putting up there. But the hidden opportunities are on the inside of the company. That's when the people on the inside of the company, they know that they're going to be building a brand new team. They know that they're going to be bringing in interns. They know that they're going to shift their focus in the new fiscal year to a new product, and they're looking for other people to hire. However, you wouldn't know that unless you're inside of the company. And if you're inside, and if you're not inside of the company, like if you're this person out here, you have to get yourself in the conversation. And the way to get yourself in the conversation is through an information interview. So when you're doing information interviews, you get to put yourself right inside the company and find out, hey, what's going on? What's coming up next? What can I prepare for? Who can I talk to see if I can position myself to get a new opportunity, a new role, or a new job for something that isn't even posted yet? So that's like a real key, the first key that I want to share with you. But let's dive in a little bit more on the information interview. I want to tell you what it's not. All right. So most folks think like, hey, I'm going to reach out to somebody at a job, like maybe Pixar or Tesla, and I'm going to do an information interview. But then they go up in there and they treat it like a job interview. Now, you don't want to do that, because in a job interview, there's a power dynamic, right? So if you go talk to a hiring manager, all of a sudden, at the moment that they know that you're looking for a job, all of a sudden they become a hiring manager, and they're auditing you, qualifying you, asking about your experience. And those conversations can go by really quick. It could go like this. Hey, how's it going? Are you hiring over at Tesla? Nope. Okay, thank you. That's done. No conversation even happened. Or it could go like this. Hey, how's it going? I'm interested in working at Disney. Are you hiring? They say yes. Like, great. What roles do you have? And they're like, well, let me see your resume, your experience, and then they say, well, I don't think any of that. I don't think you're actually qualified, or you don't have enough experience, so we can't hire you. Why don't you come talk to us in 2 years? So then that's done. You don't want to do that. It's not a job interview. All it is two people, remember, having a conversation about each other. So, you have a coffee or you hop on a Zoom call like this, and you're just learning about the other professional. And you say things like, whoa, that's so interesting. Tell me a little bit more about what's rewarding at your job, or what do you like best, or what would you do different, or what's some information or advice that you would give to your younger self, things like that. I like to think of it as a conversation with a potential version of your future self. Now, this is important because if you say, hey, let's say you want to be a lawyer or a dentist, you say, I'm going to go find out what it's really like, right? Now, you can read up about this on Google or something, but if you really want to find out what it's really like, you need to go talk to a professional in that industry. So let's say you go talk to a lawyer. And then because you're looking at this as a potential version of your future self, you can ask all the questions that really matter to you. And these are things that you can say, hey, what's your work and life balance like? How much energy do you have at the end of the day? How many vacations do you go on? What's your favorite part of the job? What's your least favorite part of the job? Do they make you work on weekends or not? Do you love your job? Would you have chosen something else? And these are all questions that you can ask that would really matter to you. So, I had students that they thought that they wanted to go to law school or go to medical school, but they were struggling with this because they had some other topics in mind and other ideas of what they wanted to do. So we sent them to go talk to people in the profession. And actually, we sent one to go talk to 3 lawyers, and it was hilarious. They came back And they said things like, we got one of two responses. One of them was like, yo, I'm so glad that I talked to a lawyer and I asked all these questions because now I know for a fact that this is exactly what I want to do. They told me how much money they could make. They told me about their work-life balance, and everything aligns with what I see for myself and my family moving forward. So I'm willing to put in the extra 2, 3, 4 years plus the tuition money because I know it's going to be worth it. And that's fantastic because we got rid of that anxiety for them because they're able to validate themselves and their decision. On the flip side, we had some folks come back and they say, hey, you know what? I'm so glad I got to talk to these lawyers or these motion graphic designers or these coders or whoever it was, because now I know that that's exactly what I don't want to do. Oh my goodness, it sounded horrible. They told me what they do on their first day, like what a day in the life looks like. They told me about their weekends, their evenings. They told me how their teams work. I'm like, oh nah, I'm glad. Like, I'm so glad that I went to talk to them because now I could put my energy and focus on something else. I'll go do an information interview with another industry and see what's going on because I know it ain't that. So I'm taking that off the table. So that's just as important. All right. So let's say you want to reach out to somebody. Let's talk about how to reach out to them and what message you want to send. So I want to give you a template of what you can send to them. So here's how you get the appointment. So like, let's say you're reaching out via email or on LinkedIn, whatever the case is, and you want to talk to them. So like, let's say you want to work at NASA. So you find somebody at NASA, right? So you go something like this. Hey, my name's Gabe. I'm a college student and I'm currently searching for career opportunities. I studied psychology and media, and I have deep experience in video production. I truly believe I can be a strong asset to your organization. I've attached my 2-page resume for your reference. Would you happen to know if there are any job openings at your company? Thank you. All right. So this is a pretty standard message, correct? It covers everything. Who I am, what I study, what I'm trying to do, letting them know I want to work there. And I got my resume ready to go. There's only one thing wrong with this message. Can anybody tell me? You could toss it on the chat or you could come off of you could put your video on and let me know. I can't move forward until you're not, okay, no greeting. Okay, yep. Treating like an interview, 2-page, yeah, 2-page resume, my goodness. Okay, not an informational company. You asked about job openings. All right, so all of these are right because the correct answer is this whole message is complete trash. Please don't ever send this message right here. I can't tell you how many times I receive messages like this, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, like, nah, I can't. Let me ask you a question. Who's this message about? Julie says they're about to copy this down. Please don't. This message is about me, right? Now, imagine if I went up to you in the middle of the street and I didn't know you, and I went up to you and said, hey, what's going on? My name is Gabe. I'm a college student. I studied this and that. I know that you're a STEM core program or growth sector, and I want to know more about that. And I could be an asset to your organization. Here's my 2-page resume, by the way. Take that with you and read that on your coffee break. I'm pretty sure you'd probably be like, yo, who the heck are you? How do you know who I am? I don't owe you anything. I'm out here with my family trying to get a coffee. And what's this 2-page report that you want me to read? Now you're giving me homework? No, thank you. Please don't send this. All right. I'm going to give you something even better here. And don't worry, because I think we have a recording and I'm going to send you some resources afterwards with the template. But check out this message. Here's a better one. Hello, my name is Gabe. Dave Evans gave me your name and number and said that you were the person I really needed to talk to. I looked you up on LinkedIn and your professional experience sounds fascinating. I'm a college student interested in your field. I'd like the chance to hear about your work experience and your organization's activity. And here's my ask. May I buy you a cup of coffee or a virtual coffee and meet for perhaps 30 minutes sometime convenient to you to discuss your work and career? I would love to have a chance to hear your story and learn from your experience. Now, let me ask you this. Who is this about? Who is this message about? Dave Evans. No, it's not about Dave Evans. It's about the professional. Yes, it's about them. The message is about the person that you're trying to reach. Okay, now I'm going to break it. There's about 5 or 6 key hooks in here that if you include in any of your messages, it's the recipe for success. And now I'm giving you a behind the scenes look of the psychology of a message of what would make people respond to you. If you send this message right here, I'm going to say 7, 8 times out of 10, you're going to get a response. Now let's break it down. Here we go. Put your X-ray vision glasses on. Boom. All right. Let's break this down. So step one, the first thing, I introduce myself and then I say, Dave Evans gave me your name and number. Or right here, this is where you plug in somebody who is a mutual connection. So if someone refers you to them, or a teacher gives you, a professor says, you need to talk to my folks, or you need to talk to this person, you want to put their name, their mutual connection here, because that immediately says, okay, this is not spam, and this is somebody that knows somebody I know. Oh, is there a video issue? Can you all see me? No? Okay, we're good. Okay. Now, if you don't have a referral or mutual friend, this is where you activate another one of your skills that I'm pretty sure many of you are already experts in. And you don't have to admit if you are or not, but this is totally okay to do some social media creeping. You can go check them out on Instagram, on TikTok, on Meta, Facebook, on LinkedIn, and you go look at things that they're interested in. So if you don't have a mutual connection, it could easily go like this. Hey, my name is Gabe. I looked you up. I saw that you love snowboarding in Tahoe. I was just there too, broke my ankle last year. Great times. And then you move on. I looked you up only, right? Because this is a way that you establish a rapport immediately, and it has to happen immediately, or else I'm not going to read the rest of your message. Then you say, I looked you up on LinkedIn, or I read an article about you, or I saw you on the alumni page, whatever the case is, because it lets them know that you looked them up intentionally. And this just isn't a spam email going from that you're sending to a bunch of people. From there, you say your professional experience sounds fascinating. And then they'll say something like this. Oh, you think I'm fascinating? What a coincidence. I think I'm fascinating too. We already have so much in common. So right here in 3 lines already, you know somebody I know, you look me up intentionally, and you think I'm fascinating. Okay, I'm listening, right? Then we hit them with this. Here's the key word. I'm a college student, interested. Now that's the key word, interested. Not, I'm so desperate, I need an internship. Oh my God, I'm tired of eating top ramen noodles. I'm so broke, I need a job, can you hire me? No. I don't need you to hire me. I don't need you to do any of that. I'm just interested about in learning more about your field. And then we move it on down. Here's my ask. May I buy you a cup of coffee? All right, time out. So here's a Silicon Valley secret, and I'm pretty sure that it's the same around the world. But here in Silicon Valley, if you buy somebody their favorite grande latte, frappe, green matcha tea, $5 cup of coffee at Starbucks or Phil's or wherever it is that they want, they're going to spill all industry secrets for you. So if you offer to buy them coffee or a lunch and you actually buy it for them, if you're able to meet in person, they're going to spill all secrets to you. And it's only going to cost you $5 or $6. So that's number one. Then we go over to, I want to meet with you for only 30 minutes, not an hour, not your whole evening, just 30 minutes. Keep it at that. And then lastly, once you put this in the very end, this is what seals the deal. I would love to have a chance to hear your story. Pop quiz. Oh wait, Myra says that a breakfast burrito goes a long way. That's true. So you could toss that in there too. Man, I'll buy you a breakfast burrito and meet for 30 minutes. You'll be able to customize this however you'd like. So the last one is, I'd love to hear a chance to hear your story. Pop quiz. What is everyone's favorite topic to talk about? I see you pointing to yourself. Exactly. Themselves. There it is. Themselves, myself. Yeah. So let's recap this. All right. You know somebody I know, or you like something I like a hobby. You could say something like, hey, I see you're a 49ers fan just like me. I see you're a Sharks fan just like me. I see you're a Giants fan just like me. I see whatever the case, or I see you're from San Jose just like me. So you know somebody I know or like something I like. You look me up intentionally. You think I'm fascinating. You're a college student interested in my field. You want to meet for 30 minutes for about how awesome I am, and you're going to sweeten the deal with the coffee or lunch. Guess what? I think my schedule just opened up for you. You send this message, you're going to be good to go. So I have a video here that's going to sum up a little bit about information interviewing, and then I'm going to we can move on to networking after we recap this. So here you go.
An informational interview is an amazingly powerful tool. It can help you learn about different types of work you're interested in. And by providing inside perspective, it may even connect you to opportunities you couldn't see from the outside. So let's take a look at what informational interviewing is all about. An informational interview is not a job interview, and it's not a trick you play to get a job. If you're asking for a job and they do have one, then they'll likely start judging whether you're a good fit. And if they don't have one, then that conversation ends there. The key to a successful informational interview is curiosity. With sincere curiosity and good questions about your interviewee's life and experience, you gain insights into their successes and failures, how they got where they are, and what's important to them. Your curiosity will lead to an authentically engaged conversation, which also opens the door for the interviewee to get curious about you. The professional you're speaking with might say something like, "Wow, you're asking some really good questions." And in that transition, informational interviewing becomes even more valuable for someone looking for work. Informational interviews give you an opportunity to see what kinds of work resonate with you and help you determine what communities you would like to be a part of. In a good informational interview, the professional you speak with gets a lot out of the conversation too. They get to discuss their life and their work with someone who's curious about their experience and values their expertise. Plus, they get the pleasure of talking with someone who's genuinely interested in what they do. How do you do it well? Here are 5 tips to get you started. First, do your homework. Take some time to research LinkedIn or other online platforms to learn about the professional you're interviewing. Consider what questions you have about their life and work. The second tip is to try to meet in person. On the phone is okay, but face-to-face is best. 3, always try to buy the coffee or lunch. Your interviewee is giving you their time. Paying is a good way of showing your appreciation and beginning to create a connection. 4, ask your interviewee who else they recommend you talk with. If the interview has gone well, they may be willing to connect you to other professionals you could learn from and who might have opportunities for you. Finally, tip number 5, after the interview, send a thank you. Email is okay, but a handwritten note is even better. And if they asked you to keep them posted on your progress, do so.
Yes. Okay, so this is a video that we created when I was a lecturer at the School of Design at Stanford, and we shared this with our students. A couple of things I want to highlight there. This was made pre-pandemic, so we understand that the world has moved virtually. So it's totally okay to do information interviews virtually, but if you can do it in person, that's a big plus too. But Zoom is fine. A couple more things I want to share with you is that this is something that information interviews is not just something for students to do who are trying to get a new job or find a job. This is something that I practice even to this day. I've been at LinkedIn for around 5 to 6 years, and I use this to navigate and network within my own company. And it's my understanding that some of you are either in internships or going to begin internships at some point. When you're there at the company that you're interning at, information interviews is a great way to navigate through the company, meet other teams, talk to some executives or some VPs or some leaders. I do it myself. I consistently build relationships with our VPs, our executive team, the CEO's team, all through this right here, all through information interview. And when you're in there, let me give you some really cool tips. When you show up, you want to have like 20, 30 questions ready to go because you did your research on them and you wanted to say, hey, tell me about this. I read this article about you. I saw that you did this. Tell me more. Never fails. Within 10 to 15 minutes of the information interview, the person I'm interviewing will say, enough about me, Gabe. I feel like I've been talking this entire time. What about you? And when they say that, showtime. That's when I say, oh, me? I'm just somebody, interested in figuring out what I'm going to do next after I graduate, or I'm thinking about switching teams. I'm exploring what opportunities are out there. And they're like, oh, really? Well, tell me what more you're into. And I'm like, well, you know, media production. I like videos. I like online learning, things of that nature. And I'm into instructional design. Then they do this. They say, oh, you're into motion graphics or videos? You got to talk to my teammate, or you got to talk to this department, or you got to talk to this other person at this other company that I know that's starting a new team that would love somebody like you. And I got to tell you, we've had students and myself that we've had internships, and job offers on the spot just on information interviews. It doesn't happen all the time, but these are things that happen. And at the very least, before you get out of an interview, you want to ask them two things. One, you say, hey, it was great talking to you. Do you have 2 or 3 other people in your network that you recommend I connect with? And then they'll give them to you. And then you hit them with the same email. Hey, so-and-so said I should connect with you. You sound fascinating. Let me buy you a coffee. I want to hear your story. And then if you do that, that's how you grow your network exponentially, and it'll blow up. You do one a week or one every 2 weeks, within 4 or 5 months, you're going to uncover opportunities that you didn't even know existed and weren't even listed on a site in the first place. So this is something that I continuously do, and it just changes the game for me. And you might want to give yourself a little bit more than 30 minutes, because I'd say maybe like 80-90% of the information interviews I do, although we only got 30 minutes on the calendar, they usually give me more time, especially if I'm asking really good questions about them, because people could talk about themselves all day long. You already know how that goes. So that's just a quick recap. If you could do it in person, amazing. If not, go with video conference. If they can't do video conference, do a phone call. And then very last is an email if they can't do any of those. Before the interview, remember to do your research and have a list of questions for them, but you won't get through all the questions, because at some point they'll be like, hey, enough about me, let me hear about you. During the interview, remember to be genuinely curious. I know we're a generation that lives and dies on our phones. So when you're with them, please don't be checking TikTok or Instagram or emails or something like that. It's extremely rude to be doing it in front of somebody. And if you're on a Zoom call, don't be firing off emails or anything else on the side. Like, give them your attention. It's a gift. To give somebody your full, undivided attention is a gift. And you want to be hyper-focused on this point when you're doing an information interview. And then offer to buy the coffee if you're in person, or the lunch. And most of the time, if you're a student and you're meeting with a professional, it's the act or the gesture that counts the most, not the actual money. And the rule is, I usually go 3 times, right? Hey, let me grab this lunch for you. Nah, it's okay, Gabe. I'll take care of it. No, let me grab it for you. Nah, it's cool, Gabe. I'll take care of it. Hey man, I only asked 3 times. So I'm gonna ask you one more time. Are you sure? Like, let me go ahead and take care of this for you. And if they say no, then okay, let them take care of it. Most professionals are like, hey, this is a student. Let me go ahead and take care of them right here. Plus, they enjoy the conversation just as much as you do too. So, but the general rule is just ask or offer 3 times. And then if you're doing it on Zoom, it's not necessary to buy anything at all, but sometimes as a nice gesture, some folks will say, so when we say a virtual coffee, it's like, hey, you get your coffee and I'll have my coffee and we'll drink it together while we do this. How about that? Sometimes I've had some folks send me a gift card or something after I do like a digital gift card, like a $5 Starbucks or something. And it's a nice little gesture, but not mandatory. But if you want to do that to leave a lasting impression, go for it. Make sure to ask for 3 more referrals, of course. And then, I told you there's 2 things. So, right. So you ask for a referral. Do you have anybody else to talk that I could talk to? And then the other one is, what would you do next if you were me? Ask them that. If you were me, what would you do next? And then they'll tell you exactly. Oh, I'd go set up a profile, or I'd talk to this recruiter right now, or I'll go do X, Y, and Z, because they're going to give you the keys to actually maneuver in the company or the role that you want. And then after the interview, this is a game changer right here too. Send a thank you note. It could be an email, but if you want to take it up a notch, send a handwritten note. If they're comfortable. You do that, I guarantee you will stand out. Out of 1 million people, you will stand out if you send a handwritten thank you card. It's a lost art, but if you get that in the mail that somebody wrote you a letter or a little thank you note, you're going to remember that for life. One time I sent that over to somebody that I was doing business with at Google, and they were so touched and moved by it, they sent me one right back. And then on that note, they said, oh my God, this is so amazing. I haven't had a written note since I was a little kid from my grandma, whoop, whoop, whoop. And I was like, yeah. And it just establishes connections and network. It strengthens those relationships for a later time. And then whoever refers you, make sure you go back to the person who referred you and tell them the outcome. Oh my God, I talked to so-and-so and they offered me an internship or they connected me with someone else. Thank you. It's the least you can do for somebody that refers something to you. One more thing, I have to give you a disclaimer before I move on to networking, but you know this message right here, when I said, this is a bad message because it's all about you. And then I said, this is a great message because it's all about them. And you're saying so-and-so, blah, 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 coffee, hear your story. This also works in the dating game. So do with that what you will. And I could give you an example. So I'm married, so I could tell stories like this, but my wife, right? If I went up to her and I said, what's going on? My name is Gabe. I just graduated from San Jose State and Stanford University. I work at LinkedIn. I'm XYZ, boom, 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 blah, blah, blah. You can check out my profiles. Look how amazing I am. Let me know when you want to go on a date. First of all, I don't even think she's saying anything. She probably just walk away, right? Rolling her eyes as she's walking. Or she might say, who the heck are you? And why are you coming up to me? And like, why are you all into yourself? This is weird, right? I don't want to, whatever. However, if I came back and I said, hey, how's it going? I was just talking to your friends over there, and they said I should really come connect with you. And I did a quick look on your Instagram. Oh my goodness, because they gave me your handle, and I looked at it like, man, it looks like you do a lot of adventures, and you sound fascinating. I got to learn more about you. I'm just out here back in the dating game, no pressure, but I'm trying to see what's going on. And I'd love to have 30 minutes to hear more about your story, and I can even buy you a drink right here if that's cool. Ooh, well, I'll tell you what, I did say something like this, and now look at that. Blah, married. All right, so be careful with this information I'm giving you. Anyway, let's move on to networking. All right, so what is networking? If you were anything like me, when I heard the word networking, I kind of was like, man, that's just a bunch of fake people in a fake room doing fake handshakes with fake smiles, giving each other business cards and trying to use each other. But honestly, it's not that at all. All networking is asking for directions. So imagine that you came over to LinkedIn and you were you asked me, you're brand new on campus and you run into me and we didn't know each other. You said, excuse me, where's the restroom? And I said, wouldn't it be weird if I looked at you and I said, excuse me? I'm like, I don't know you and I don't owe you anything. And I certainly don't have to give you any information. Please keep it moving. Wouldn't that be a weird thing to do and a rude thing to do? Exactly. That's not what people normally do in the professional world. What the normal thing to do is you come up to me and I say, and you say, hey, where's the restroom? And I say, oh, hey, no problem. Just go into that building, hang the first left. You're going to see a glass door, go through that, and it's on the right, right? And then you walk away. Now, wouldn't it be weird if I gave you that information and then you walk away and then I stop you and say, hey, excuse me, hold up. I just gave you some information. Where's my thank you card? No chocolates, no bouquet of roses. That's also a weird thing to do, right? Well, that's exactly what networking is like. You're somebody who's brand new into the professional space, and you're just asking for directions from somebody who knows their way around. So if you say, hey, I'm over, I see that you work at LinkedIn, Gabe. I want to learn a little bit more what it's like working there. How did you apply there? Who did you talk to? What are some things I could upskill on, whatever the case is? Most most people are decent people. And most professionals be like, oh, I'd be happy to help, because here's another secret. Almost everyone had somebody help them along the way, and they'd be happy to help someone else along the way. Just like if a high school student came up and asked you about the program that you're in right now, and they say, hey, I want to learn more about it. Like, what's your experience like there? XYZ, you wouldn't just turn them away. Like, hey, yeah, I'll let you know. Like, this is how you apply. This is how you get in. This is who you want to talk to. Let me tell you about my experience. That's all networking is. You're just trying to learn more information, and you need directions to get to where you're trying to go to. All right. So you're actually already an expert, and I'm going to have to ask you to do something. You already have a strong network, and you have a lot of sources of referrals. Here's who's already in your network: your friends, your family, your classmates, instructors, neighbors, social media network. If you're standing in line at Starbucks, I'm networking too. You know, if I see somebody with a Disney badge or a Pixar badge or whatever it is, I'm asking, oh, that's a nice badge. What do you do out there? What's going on out there? How do you like blah, blah, blah? If I'm at church, I'm using every opportunity to network, because I'm just asking for directions. I'm just learning. I'm being curious. So I have an activity for us, because we're going to test this right now. We're going to test the power of networking in real time. And I need you all to participate. Again, super easy. Watch this. In the chat, I want you to write down a job role, an industry, or a hobby that you'd like to learn more about. That's it. So if you want to learn more about writing a book or video game design or coding or media production or becoming an author, or you want to learn about sales and marketing, whatever it is, or if you have a hobby, even I want to learn about surfing or dirt biking or boxing, whatever it is, just toss that in the chat right now. And I need to get at least a handful of folks to participate. All right, so Jeffrey already tossed something in there. Brandon, Sierra, Salvador, Zavia, thank you. All right, yeah, cool. Let's keep going. Nice, we got some good ones in here. All right, so let me read some out. Okay, so we have from the top, Disney Imagineering, graduate studies and research, coding, creating my own 3D printer, flight test engineering, full stack engineering. Want to learn about gardening, want to learn about electronic components, civil engineering, working at Tesla, better studying skills, a driving instructor. These are all great. So I'm gonna pick one at random and we'll take it from there. So let's go with, let me see here. Okay, is it Zavia? Am I saying that correct? Or is it Xavier? Xavier or Zavia? What's that? I think Becca, you're trying to talk to me, but I think you're on mute. I still can't hear. I'm gonna go with Xavier. So Xavier's saying coding or creating my own 3D printer, right? Okay. Does anybody here, just raise your hand. Does anybody here know anybody who's either a coder, learning about coding, or has coded something, or knows anything about 3D, somebody who works with a 3D printer, owns a 3D printer, or does any 3D printing at all? If you know somebody, a friend, a family member who does any of that, please give me a thumbs up, a hand, or something like that. Okay, cool. So I see 4 people. I think I saw, is it Ezra, Preston, Julie? All right, so let's start with Preston. Preston, can you come off mute, please? I'm gonna talk to you for a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Preston, who do you know? Tell us a little bit about your contact.
I took like a intro engineering class last semester. Then our professor, he did like a unit on 3D printing. So yeah, he's the person that I know definitely knows how to 3D print.
Okay, and do you know Xavier or Zavia?
No.
Okay, is it cool if Zavia connects with you and you can do an introduction to your professor so that they can go ahead and do an information interview with them so they can learn more about 3D printing?
Yeah, sure.
There it is. All right, so time out. That's the power of networking in real time. All right, we did this randomly, and I guarantee you, and you, please go ahead. If you want to go ahead, and if you see any subjects in here and you know somebody, I'm going to ask you that you connect with that person and say, hey, I know somebody in flight test engineering. I know somebody who in full stack engineering, and I'd be happy to give you a call. And then you use that message that I gave you. Hey, how's it going? My name is Gabe. Preston said that you're the person I need to talk to. I'm interested in learning about 3D printing. You sound fascinating. Looked you up on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with you, buy you a coffee. That's all it is. And this is how you can work with each other. So without even expanding and growing your network further, you already have people that can help you right now. So I love doing this experiment or this little activity because it never fails. So you may not think that you know the right people for the interests that you have, but you definitely have the network to help somebody out. So I encourage you to keep listing as many topics as you have. Oh, Xavier. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Xavier. I didn't even know that you were showing me how to say it. Xavier, yes, please connect with Preston and then set that up and let us know how that information interview goes. And for everybody else who put subjects down, please, if you know somebody, reach out to them directly. You can even do it right now if you want to on the chat and then connect them. All right, so let's move forward. I have another recap video that we did on networking, and then I'm gonna wrap it up with a couple words of encouragement and open up for Q&A.
What do you picture when you think about networking? Many people think of slick, self-interested people manipulating others to get things they don't deserve, or pretending to care about someone just to use them to get to someone else. But what if instead of considering networking sleazy, we reframed the way you think of it and reimagined it as something else entirely? One way to reframe networking is to picture it as asking for directions. Think back on the last time you lived or worked somewhere where you really knew your way around. Can you remember a time when a stranger came up and asked you for directions? What happened? If you were able to point them in the right direction, how did you feel? Did you feel like they were using you? No. If you're like most people, you felt good about being able to help someone out. In general, just like you're happy to give directions to a stranger, most people enjoy doing small things to help others. And asking for help finding people or information in a professional context is actually a lot like asking where you can find the nearest ATM or coffee house. Networking allows people inside a community to help people like you, who may be from outside the community, find their way, learn new things, and better participate in a domain or type of work. And the community benefits from bringing new people into the conversation too. The more introductions that are made, the more information everyone has to take advantage of. Good networking is just like asking for directions. And people are happy to help. The point isn't to do networking. The goal is to become part of the network. And someday, you'll help someone too.
There it is. Great line to end on. Someday you'll help someone too. So if you ever feel like I'm a little apprehensive to go talk to somebody, just remember they want to help somebody just like you would want to help somebody too. So you actually, it's a dance and it's a relationship that helps each other out. So just to recap here, before we close out, remember that you're surrounded by your referral sources. You already have a strong network. People will help you. You just have to ask a lot. So don't ever shy away from asking. You're just looking for some directional help, and it feels good to help each other because you will help someone someday too. All these videos and the template on the message is going to be sent to you afterwards. So you're going to be in good shape if you need to refer back to this. I'm going to leave you with 3 symbols before we open it up for Q&A. These are things I love to talk about. The first one is waffles. The only way to it is through it. Whenever you make a waffle, it never really comes out right. It's always burnt, gappy. It's a sad piece. But by the time you get to the 3rd or 4th waffle, whoo, that's the masterpiece. That's the one that you take a picture of, put on Instagram. That's the one you give to a loved one, something like that. Now imagine if you did that with all your interests and your projects and your opportunities, knowing that the first time around, it's not going to be the best version of it or the best time. But if you keep at it, by the 3rd or 4th one, that's the one that you're going to be most proud of. So I want to encourage you with that. Second thing, launch pads, got to get ready for blast off. Remember when we said, what if I choose the wrong career or the wrong major? I want to reframe that question for you. It's not about picking the right thing. It's just that when you pick something, make sure that you go at it 100%. Because when you go at it 100%, even if it turns out being the wrong thing, it'll serve as a launch pad to get you to the right thing, right? Now, if you look at this is a testament to my own journey. My whole journey, I was just just launch padding everywhere. And the sad thing is that most folks, they'll make a choice and then only go at it 50% and then turn around and say, nah, let me try something else. They pick something else, go at it 50%, come back, and they spend a lifetime never reaching a launch pad. Don't be that person. Whatever it is, whatever track you're on, go at it full force, and I guarantee you're going to end up exactly where you're supposed to be. And then lastly, seeds of greatness. I want to ask you to be patient and be patient with yourself and give yourself some grace. Because what if I told you that in each of us, there's seeds of greatness that haven't even sprouted yet? There's skills, there's talents, there's projects, there's initiatives, there's beautiful things inside of us. Like just like a seed that sprouts in different seasons, it hasn't sprouted just yet. And maybe when you graduate, when you're in your mid-20s or your late 20s or your 30s or your 40s, these are other things that'll come out of you. For instance, I'm writing children's books, starting podcasts, doing online courses, entrepreneurial side hustles. I just created a new product for invisible captions, yada, yada. I didn't know none of this stuff was inside of me back when I was in my late teens or early 20s. But because I gave myself some time like that, all of that was inside of me, it just took time to sprout. So all you have to do is go find out what those seeds are. And just like everything else, in order for seeds to sprout, you got to surround yourself with the right environment. So check out who you're hanging out with. And then lastly, remember that what you want wants you even more. it's already out there looking for you too. So all you have to do is go out there and go get it. So I want to thank you with that. If you have time, it'd be great if you could give me some feedback, the gift of feedback. If you could just scan this code, it'll take you about 2 minutes. I appreciate you doing that. Again, we're going to send you a recap on a recap PDF with all this information. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, scan this code, connect with me. And if you want to meet with me and do an information interview, or if you want to do a coaching session or just talk about life and reaching goals in general, I'd be happy to do that. A free coaching session. I will always make time for students or young professionals trying to better themselves. So you have me in your network now. Thanks so much. And back over to you, Cheryl. Oh, can't hear you, Cheryl.
You're on
Yep.
mute.
I said huge round of applause, Gabe. Thank you so much. I think I probably am echoing like the faces I can see and the activity in the chat that was super informational and just overall great learning for our group. I will turn it back to our students who've been so engaged like this whole time. If you have any questions that you want to be able to unmute yourself and ask Gabe directly, you can either unmute or you can put it directly in the chat and we will read it out for you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So how many times do you think you've done information interviews, and is there one like specific instance you think stood out to you?
Oh, great question. Yeah. So how many information interviews have I done? Well, of course, I don't know the actual number, but I would say at least over 100, maybe 150. Yeah, since I learned about it. So I was doing a lot of this intuitively before, but since I learned the actual term and like the structure and everything, since then I would say about 100, 150. Yeah, I'll tell you one that sticks out to me. I learned about this new university in at USC, or this new program at USC for that combines entrepreneurship, music production, and video production. And it's called the Jimmy Iovine and Young Academy. And it's Jimmy Iovine, the music producer, and Dr. Dre. And they put together a program that you can actually go get a degree in, and they'll teach you how to do music, media, and entrepreneurship and business together. So you could work in that. So I said, I found out about it. I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna go do an information interview, go find out what's going on. So I got a hold of one of like the professors or the program directors, and I sat down with them and we were having this conversation. I was just asking, hey, you sound fascinating. You have all these cool things and I have questions. And then sure enough, 10 to 15 minutes in, he's like, hey, yeah, but let me hear more about you. And he's like, I gotta say, like, I couldn't find your resume in your email. And I said, oh, no, I'm not asking for a job. I want to know what you got going on because it sounded cool and all this. Like, well, tell me a little bit more about you. Like, what do you do? And then it's, oh, I'm in media production. I used to be a lecturer. This is like, okay, yo, we would love to have somebody like you over here. Like, what is it going to take to get you to come over here? So this is like the beginning of an offer. But then I had to cut them out, and I was like, well, I'm not moving to Southern California. I'll tell you that right now, it's not happening. But if there's ever like a virtual offer or things like that, then let me know and we can collaborate. So it's just an example of like, you can just go in and it's kind of like, kind of like a Trojan horse almost. Like you go in and you're kind of like sneaky booby trapping, trying to see like what's going on in there. And the trick is you're trying to get them to bring you in instead of you trying to grasp at them what the whole world is already doing to all these companies. That's a great question. Thank you. Yeah.
There's a question in the chat from Brandon, a few related questions. What do the conversations look like when meeting in person when Zoom is not possible or is difficult to arrange schedules? And then what is a good way to navigate this? And what do follow-ups look like when exchanges are less formal and well introduced?
Yeah. Okay, so a couple things. Let me ask, and I think yeah, okay. So let me start with the end of the question. So first of all, it's like, let me say I send a message and then I don't hear back, right? Which happens all the time. I have another like general rule there. You want to do like 3 touch points. So I send a message, I don't hear nothing back. I wait a week and then I follow, hey, just want to follow back up, see what's going on. Would love to hear your story. I wait another week if I don't hear back and I give them a third one. If you don't hear back by the third time, just forget about them and move on to the next person, right? most of the time, like for instance, like if you were to send me a message right now, it'll probably take probably a week, especially if it's like on LinkedIn or something, because I'm just slammed with other projects at work or personal stuff. And then my son's birthday's coming up this, in a month, and his baptism and yada yada. So it's like, it's not that people don't want to talk to you, but life happens. So keep that in mind. So yeah, wait a week, follow up, wait another week, follow up, and then the last one's the third week. Okay. And then what does the conversation look like when in person versus Zoom? Well, you already know the answer to this, right? So if you're meeting with a professor or a colleague in person, there's social cues that you could pick up on. You could mirror each other during conversation, and it will probably go a lot longer than 30 minutes because you're in person. However, Zoom is also a great way to do this. And when you're on Zoom, you just have to be extra focused to make it dynamic and engaging, and just try to be it's not like, if for instance, like if you're not an extrovert and you're like, hey, I'm more laid back, that's my style, that's okay. But the type of questions, the conversation that you're having, that can go a long way with keeping someone's interest. Yeah, I can move on to the next. How many information should we do on average? How do I choose who? Is it okay to ask for a coffee chat if they live far away? So yeah, you can ask for a coffee chat. Just say, hey, well, in Spanish, we say un cafecito. So it's just like, hey, let's have a chat and we'll both be drinking coffee. You can do that on Zoom. How many you do? I say, hey, a good aim, like until you get, and you'll get better and better with these as you do more, but like, why don't you try like once every 2 weeks? Because what happens is you just have to land one. And when you do that one, then you don't get out of the interview until they give you 2 or 3 other people, remember? So then they'll give you 3 other people. And then so once you do one, you'll be able to start scheduling these. So I mean, in a perfect world, I'd say once a week if you can, like every Friday. That's my information interview days, right? Do that. But if not, once every 2 weeks, once a month, just see how it goes. And then how do I choose who? I'd start with anybody that you're interested in. And whoever hits you back, that's the one you want to practice with. And then how do I choose? Who's it okay to ask for a coffee? Yeah. Oh, here's one from Brian. Is there such a thing as a bad informational interview? Should we look for something to avoid when networking? Okay, these are great questions, by the way. Let me answer the first part. Is there such a bad thing? Is there such a thing as a bad information interview? Well, I would say that there's some information interviews that are better than others. Some show immediate rewards and some don't. But some is like planting a seed. Like for instance, let's say I connect with Richard on here, right? And we do an information interview and it's just like not that cool, not engaging, but 2 things do happen. Him and I connect on LinkedIn because we did an information interview and now we're connections on LinkedIn. And he gave me somebody else to talk to. I was like, okay, cool. So I got another information interview out of there and we're connected on LinkedIn. So about a year later, or 2 years later, I see that he's got a job opening on LinkedIn or he's got an opportunity. And I reach back, hey, Richard, how you been? What's going on? I want to learn more about this post that you put on. So what you're doing is you're planting seeds that may pay dividends later on. So I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. I mean, it'd be bad if they don't want to connect with you and they don't want to give you anything, of course. And then I'll wrap up with the second part of the question. Should we look for something to avoid when networking? Yeah, bad attitudes. I'd say vibes. If you're getting a bad vibe from someone who's just like super into themselves and it doesn't look like they want to help at all, or if they're being short or rude with you, you have every right to just dip out of there. Like you don't owe them nothing, just like they don't owe you nothing. So yeah, but that's very rare. But the truth of the matter is that there are some folks that just aren't good people or they're just rude. Stay clear from them. Don't even waste your time with them. Just go on to the next one. I see we have some other ones. I'd be happy. I could answer these through email if you'd like, Cheryl, or if you're all welcome to connect with me directly as well.
Gabe, thank you for that. I would just note to our students as well that this is great information and a new mindset to think about in terms of like as you're heading into your internships and research. And as we're thinking about like Gabe's a professional and has been doing this for a number of years, right? So when you think about the number of informational interviews, also remember that you're going into an internship. So you're learning your role too, right? So you're getting into these positions and you're doing like your projects and your expectations as well. So I don't want anybody to think that they are like, well, I can't finish my project because I need to do like 2 informational interviews this week. So just sort of keeping that in your mindset too is like playing a balance, whether it's like a lunch break or Friday after work, or just like some of your downtime being able to connect as well. So just sort of putting that out there as well. But great questions, everybody. I think this is just great information as we get in the mindset of moving into internships, research. Remember, this can work for faculty as well, grad students that you're working with, and just like opening up your network. So again, huge thank you to Gabe
Thank
for
you.
spending the time today to drop some gems with us.
Right
For our
on.
STEM core students, I will be sending out the this recording along with some of those templates that Gabe went over that you can use at your discretion. I will also be sending out a survey from Growth Sector as well that just provides feedback for today's session as well, in addition to the one that Gabe dropped in the chat. And Gabe, if it's okay with you, as you just mentioned, I'll be sharing your contact information.
Oh,
Um,
please
that
do.
Susan
Yeah.
can connect with you
Yeah.
afterwards.
And then also, if you want to come check out the LinkedIn campus and get a free coffee or check out our media studios, I'd be happy to host you, give you a tour. We'll hop on bicycles. I'll introduce you to all my favorite chefs and baristas and my smoothie makers out there. We'll make it happen, get a tour. Oh, if I can real quick, just to Omar's question, was there any interview that went bad? An example, I sent that message out a couple of times and one guy just sent back, says, no, thank you. I said, all right, cool. So you just keep it moving. So yeah, right on. Thanks so much, everybody. Do the tours include free food?
Thank
Yes,
you,
they do.
everybody.
All food is free. Got it, Desron. We'll see you.
Have a great weekend. Thanks, everybody.